Hey, I'm Brian Van, SportbikeTrackHere.com, and today I'm going to show you how to replace a radiator on a Kawasaki ZX6R and also how to change the coolant. One of the most important things you're going to need to know if you ever have to change the coolant is how do I purge the air from the system before I ride my bike. Okay, just like all the other videos for this bike, this is brought to you in partnership with Precision Track Days. If you want to do track days, you're in the southeastern portion of the country. Nobody better to learn how to ride with precision than Precision Track Days. Also, Two-Wheel Dyno Works. My man Nate Phipps, guess where this ECU is heading after this man? To maximize the power that we're going to get from the exhaust system I installed, I'm going to ship my ECU off to Two-Wheel Dyno Works. In this video, we're going to show you a lot of stuff. We're going to show you how to replace a bent radiator, right? I got a salvage radiator I put in there. Thank Jesus, it seems like it's holding water, so I think we got a good one. Okay. I'm going to show you how to replace that, and most importantly, I'm going to show you how to purge all the air from your cooling system. Stay tuned. Okay, we finally hit the moment where we're not just fixing bent bikes, right? We're going to put something on that is cool. We're going to install the M4 carbon full exhaust system for this. I think this makes the most power. Actually, we're going to send this ECU off to get tuned by my buddy Nate over at Two-Wheel Dyno Works also. So we're going to be replacing this MGP slip-on. We're going to get rid of this OEM passenger peg, right? Muffler box is gone, headers, all that stuff. We're going to clean it up. It's going to look a lot better. As part of this process, when you install a full system, there's a couple of different ways to do it. You can do it and leave the radiator on, right? It's definitely a little bit in the way, but if you're careful, not a problem. You can do it that way. That's normally what I would do. In this circumstance, this radiator has got a big old bend in it from the crash. So we're going to go ahead and pull the radiator off the bike. Some of this footage is going to be used in two independent videos. One video is going to be all about replacing the radiator and most importantly, refilling, bleeding the cooling system, right? So it's going to help you if you want to change your coolant, like to put approved coolant in it, you're going to do some track days. That video is going to be a great resource for you. If you want to install a full exhaust system on your Kawasaki ZX6R, the exhaust video is going to be the one to watch. Okay, for the radiator, the first thing you got to do, come on over here, Clark, you got to drain the system. I've already done some of this behind the scenes. This is the low point in your system right here. This is the actual cooling system drain. We will end up safety wiring this at some point. Let's see if anything's going to come out of there right now. It had green coolant in it. I've already flushed it out with water a couple of times. As you can see, there's really nothing coming out there, so we're just going to go ahead and throw that back in. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to drain all the coolant out from your low point, which is right there. Once we have accomplished that, I'm still going to keep a drain pan around because sometimes with some of the hoses, different things, it could end up holding some coolant in some different spots. We're going to start over here. Those hoses have been on there for a minute, man. So we're going to use our radiator hose tool. I've got a Motion Pro one somewhere too that we have on the website. This is just kind of a blunt tool. Just helps to get you in there and kind of break that loose a little bit. That radiator hose liked being there. Now you can see why we still have the drain pan sitting out. Let's go on over to the other side. our coolant overflow. There is a external hex 10 mil right here. Pull that out. Take the radiator cap off. Pull that out of the way. This is just gonna come right off. Pull that. Little clamp, you can do that with your fingers. I've already had that off. That's why they came apart so easy, because I've already rinsed the overflow jug out too. Got another clamp right here. Considering this is going to be a track-only bike, we do not leave the cooling fans in place. We always take those off. It helps to increase, once you're moving, it increases the airflow over the radiator surface. Downside is when you're sitting on the grid, right? You got to be cognizant of your temp. If you see the bike getting a little hot, you got to shut her down, right? Upside is it's going to run more efficient and cooler when you're out on a track. Okay, something else we want to get rid of on this thing now, while we're in here, the horn. Who needs a horn on a track bike? Anytime you're taking something like this apart, save all the fasteners you take out. This is going to be in the garbage. I like to save all that stuff. You never know when you're going to run into a situation where you might need it. Down the road, I got a bunch of bins that are full of all the bolts that I've pulled out of all the bikes now over the years. Funny part is this radiator still held pressure. If this were going to be a bike that I was going to keep, say, long term, I would probably keep that radiator and like hold on to it as a spare, because there could be you never know, you could be at the track and next thing you know, something bad happens, you end up on the ground, and it'd be nice to have it. Okay, pulled the lower support fastener out. Got the uppermost one here. Pull that bad boy out. So over here on the left side of the bike, there's this little cap that they're covering the bolt head with, because the harness kind of passes through there. Fair enough. Got to slide that off. Like so. That's something we're not gonna have to reuse. You can see the bolt head now. This flashlight, you got to push the, oh, it worked different that time. That's weird. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull the second one off. Remember, I've got all the other bolts out now, so you're going to want to support it. This horn bracket, that's out. We're not going to reuse that. Okay, so now we should be able to slide the radiator out. Remember, your fan is still going to be connected. So let's come over here. Okay, it looks like to reach that, we might have to maybe, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get up in here and grab that. Nope, that's not going to happen. So we're going to have to lower this thing down and pull the tank to unplug the radiator fan. Let's go ahead and see if we can do this without completely pulling the tank. Obviously, we have the tail sections not installed, so this thing is going to flip up. Wow, that is just flipping buried, man. Okie doke, tank's going to be coming off all the way. So let's go ahead and do that. You know, this is one of those things where, all right, I'm going to go ahead and go through this and do it, but, you know, you could do a couple of different things here. You could just cut it. Got your vents here at the back. I'm gonna have to come over here. Well, that really likes to be on there right now. Huh. Fair enough. Off it comes. Now we gotta flip it up. Find our, this is the first time I've done this on this particular model, so let's find our fuel pump connector. Okay, that's right there. There's the lock for that. I need to get onto the other side to see that, but the connector itself, that's right here. So to release that, there's a little tab right here. We're going to lift up on that. You always want to try and grab it by the connector itself. As a rule, you never want to pull on the wires. Pulling on wires is bad. It creates problems that will, of course, always show up at the worst possible time. You've got the lock here for the fuel line. You release that with that little baby screwdriver, and then you can just go ahead and slide that bad boy off. Okay, so, all right, that's not terrible. Got a 10 mil external hex back here. We've got that fuel pump harness right back there. It's kind of obstructs this a little bit. right, off comes the tank. This one's got some fair amount of fuel in it. Okay, so as we continue through this, the air box is going to have to come off. Let's go ahead and get that done. Once again, okay to use power tools for disassembly, not a problem. You know, I would not do any of that on reassembly, because that just is, you're just begging for it. You're begging to strip shit out. Okay, that deep one, no El Richo. Okay. Full disclosure, this is the first time I've ever taken this apart. We're kind of going down this road together. That's clearly going to have to come off. That's going to have to come off. You can tell by the way this bike comes apart, like a lot of this is just it's never been touched. All right, slide that off. We've got a fastener up here, 10 mil external hex. And then we have underneath here, we have the clamps. There's a relief, there's a hole in the frame right here. So you have the clamps for the velocity stacks, right, the boots. This is going to release those. And I can see the other end of the bolt here on the clamp. Okay, maybe this isn't that bad. I should have used side cutters and just cut the wires. No, I can't do that. That's terrible. Unprofessional. Some of the stuff on this bike too is going to ultimately end up coming apart multiple times because of the videos, right? Normally when you would take this apart, like to this, even the level we're at right now, there's a lot of stuff that you'd be stacking the projects kind of up a little bit, right? And trying to knock things off all at the same time. Looks like you just kind of get in there, put a little pressure up. Okay. Not hating that. That seems to be going all right. Let's see what else we got hanging on here. There's another hose here. Looks like I'm going to be able to rotate it. Okay, there's our pair valve, which is obviously, that's all going to be going bye-bye at some point. Just not right now. So let's go ahead and I love when Clark's walking around like, dude, where do I film this? What's he gonna do? Why does he keep moving? Stand still. Okay, lower portion of the airbox off. It is good practice anytime you just have your throttle bodies chilling out like that. Just shove some rags in there. I mean, is that perfect? Maybe not really all that perfect, but what it sure as hell is better than not doing anything. Okay, now, right down this hole here, Clark, is where we're gonna be wrenching, right here. So, I already know this gray harness is the one I'm looking for. It's gonna be in this protective boot right here. There's the release. Shazam, off it comes. Put that back together. Okay, and when we come back, I'm just gonna grab a blowgun and blow some of that dirt out of there right now. When we come back, we're gonna get this radiator off of there, man. Okay, so, well, those can come back out. Now we're gonna go ahead and normally, full disclosure, like when I get in here and do the block off plates and different things, velocity, all that stuff, every piece you see is gonna get scrubbed because this is gross, this is unacceptable, and not the way I would normally do it. But for today's video, we're just gonna focus on, you know, just kind of wrapping up what we're working on here, which is the radiator and the exhaust. So let's go ahead and get this all back in there. Okay, that's gonna dip in there like so. Make sure that everything with that harness. I'm gonna tell you, the way that comes apart, I think it's good. I think I liked it. Okay, make sure you've got that push down. You can look in there and you can see, right? Everything is seated before you tighten the clamps for those boots. This is a 3mm Allen. Very, it's a reasonable amount of torque here. These are not gigantic fasteners. Drop the air filter back in. What I do want to do real quick here, and this is something that I'm going to do anytime I have something like this apart. That's just good practice, a little compressed air. If you have it, use it. Just want to blow all that out. You want to make sure that there is nothing, right, that could possibly end up finding its way into the throttle bodies when you start it up. This goes back in there like so. That plugs in like that. That's like that. come over a little bit. You do want to make sure that you've got everything routed correctly there and you're not pinching the throttle cables. That probably would not have a great outcome. All the screws for the airbox, when you put those back in, you want to, that's hand tight only. I would not use a screw gun on that. It's so easy to just pull all the threads out. And that is something nobody wants, so I'm just going to use the screwdriver there. Get them all started. And then we'll run around it and tighten them all up. Toss the fuel tank back on. And we can continue on with our project. Kawasaki, why could you have not just put the cooling fan plug right down there where I could reach it, man? Come on. Okay, airbox on, airbox tight. We're moving on to the fuel tank. Got to reinstall that bad boy. This vent line here, this one we're just going to put to the side for now. That's going to determine what we're doing with that as we go a little deeper into our project here. Okay, let's get that fastener here in the rear. Like so. Got to get that to line up with the other side. There we go. I'll pull up on it a little bit. Snug that up. Let's lift her back up. Slide the fuel hose back on over the fuel pump. You want to make sure you've got that on all the way. Re-engage the lock. Okay. Drop that down, make sure everything's routed correctly there. We're just going to vary temporarily. These vents, this all gets, it's going to be a race bike, obviously, so we're going to change all that. Plug the fuel pump back in. Go ahead and put these two back in up here. Those are 5 internal hex. Run those down, and then we're going to be ready to pull the radiator off the bike. Okay, so let's just go ahead and make sure we got that, which we do. We've got one more hose up here. All right. And there's the dent in the radiator. Oops, you can see that that thing's, I mean, it's holding water, but it's done. That's not something I would use unless I was in a pinch. All right, here we go. Radiator reinstall. This is just to use when we picked up. I cleaned her up a little bit. But once again, salvage parts are what we're working with here, man. Now the whole idea here is for this to be kind of a budget project. If this were a bike that we were taking to Moto America to race, I would most likely go for a brand new OEM radiator. But the reality is this thing's gonna hold water just fine. It's all gonna be great. We're gonna get the two top ones started first, and then we'll finish up with the one on the bottom. Hook our hoses up. And we'll get some coolant in this bad boy. Definitely excited to start it. Full disclosure, I've never heard this bike run. Part of me is like, is it gonna start? I did toss it on the battery charger yesterday. And to my surprise, the battery was actually full. I think that's probably a good omen. I do know the people that own this bike before, and it was running when it was crashed, so I don't really anticipate any issues. Okay, before we tighten anything up, let's get that last one started. Go ahead and torque that down. Torque down the two uppers. Like we discussed when I tore it off, there is no cooling fan any longer. And that's how we'll use this bike, minus the fan. Let's go ahead and get our radiator clamps tightened back up. I'll probably, because I'm right here, obviously I've never worked on this bike, I'm just gonna check and make sure the other clamps are all tight. And that's kind of common over time. You get, the hose itself is the rubber, goes through all those heat cycles and whatnot. Not uncommon. If I really get that one in there or not, right now. Not uncommon that you can get a little bit of rotation out of your clamps. So if you can reach them and you're already there working on it, you may as well double check. On the race bikes, Max's race bikes, we use all Oetiker clamps. Those are pinch clamps, pinch style. something I don't think I'm going to carry over to this. Because that's a project for really very little. I mean, there's really no return. You know, it doesn't make it better necessarily. Okay, coolant reservoir. This bad boy here. Right there. Not 100% sure if I'm going to stick with this or if I'm going to put like a little Motion Pro return bottle in there. But for the purpose of today's video, we're just going to run with this one. And to be fair, it's totally out of the way. There's no compelling reason to make that go away. Obviously, the routing on this, I'd have to take that off the other or we can secure it in a different manner. Sort that out all in due time, but we'll focus on the important parts of this. And the biggest thing now is going to be filling and bleeding the cooling system. Okay, step one. Let's fill the cooling system. We're going to use engine ice on this. The reason behind that is track approved with the people we will run this bike with. This bike is not going to be raced at Moto America where you can only run water. We're going to take this to ride with our good friends at Precision Track Days. So you start off by just filling it. Let gravity come in there and assist initially. That sneeze was so loud, I bet you that got picked up. Okay, to get the air out of it, what are we going to do? Well, the things that I like to do, and there's a lot of, people have a lot of different theories. The whole run it with the radiator cap off, don't do that. That's stupid. Where we're going to start is, if you remember when I showed you that low point, we're going to come down here and we're going to see if we have any air. Okay, heard a little bit of air at the very beginning, and then the coolant started coming. So, step one. This, for sure, is going to be drilled and safety wired, okay, for very obvious reasons. Okay, step two. Let's get our shifter out of the way. That'll be one of the next things we're going to do. Is we've got a set of Woodcraft rear sets. We're going to get those put on the bike. So I want you to come here now. And palpate these hoses. Any one of the hoses you can touch. The mic's probably not going to pick that up, but if you want to go over there and kind of stick the camera by the neck of the radiator. So what I'm doing is every hose that I can touch, I'm palpating the hose, and what happens is that ultimately pushes the air out and brings the coolant back. I'll do that a couple of times. And then we're going to roll the bike off the table. And I'm just going to kind of lean it with the radiator cap off in both directions. Not enough to spill coolant everywhere, but enough that it'll help allow the coolant to flow into, if there's like an air pocket, okay, so we're gonna fill that up to that mark right there, cap off. When we come back, the bike is gonna be off the table and I'll show you what I'm gonna do. Okay, you know what's funny is even when I rolled it off the table and you jarred the bike a little bit, I could see and hear the coolant kind of rolling down in. So lean it, and we're gonna do that to either side, okay? Wanna hand me that rear stand over there, Clark? Got that done. Now I got a mess I gotta clean up too. A little too far in the one direction. That's okay. We're gonna come over here and it is significantly lower right now than it was when I had it up on the table. We're gonna dump a little in. I'll let that settle. I'm gonna grab a rag, clean up my mess. Okay, we filled it, let it settle. We're gonna go ahead and toss the radiator cap on this bad boy. Clean up my other mess that I just made now, and when we come back, we're gonna have this up on the table, top off the overflow jug, and we're gonna bring the engine up to temperature. All right, well, here we go, man. The moment of truth. I've never heard this bike start. Have you? Well, the fuel pump's running. Shows it's in neutral. So you can see now we're starting to climb on the temp gauge on the left side there at the bottom. I turned it to its Fahrenheit, so we're at 142 right now. It's been running for a few minutes. Remember, we have no radiator fan now. Engine sounds great. You want to let it go until you get a thermostat opening. We're going to see if we have any change here. You'll see that I left that level a little bit below the full. I've had this running for quite a while at this point. We're not going to show all that. It's like watching paint dry. We're almost to about 180. That's about where I'm going to let it run to. Temp gauge, well within operating range. What I can tell you is there's definitely not an air pocket in this because it ran so long, right? Just to even get to 180, that's a really good sign. And then once you get to a certain spot without a fan, it's just going to continue to climb. I mean, because you have no air coming over the radiator to cool it whatsoever at a standstill when you're minus that fan. For some people, even if you were using it for track days, it might make more sense to run with the fan on the track if you don't want to have to shut it off when you're waiting to go out and all that. You're only saving a couple of pounds. You know, you are losing a little bit of ultimate airflow when you're on the track and you're up at speed, but that's pretty negligible as well. So for many people, it might make more sense to just leave the fan in place as more of a convenience factor. What's going to happen now is this thing heat soaks, right? Our levels are going to balance out and we're going to be good to go. If you follow the same procedure I just showed you to purge the air from the cooling system, that's something you can use if you had to change a radiator or any other coolant part, or let's say you decided to take your bike to the racetrack, do track days or some club racing, where you were put in a position where you had to change the coolant and put something that the organization allowed to be in the bike. You follow that procedure, you are going to be good to go out of the gate. You're not going to go to the track and have overheating issues. Always heat cycle it, right, once or twice. And then when it's cooled down all the way, right, don't go pulling the radiator cap off right now. That shit's hot, right? It's going to come shooting out. Nobody wants that. You let it cool down for a few hours, then you can pull the cap and double check your level if you need a little bit of peace of mind, right? At some point, I probably will take a quick peek at this. If you have any questions, leave those in the comment section of this video. I'm always here to help you get the same result from your project we got from ours.